The Mirror of Betrayal. Deep within the forest of Eldwine, hidden beneath a canopy of twisted oaks, lay the Sanctum of Reflections. Few dared to venture near, for the sanctum was cursed, a place where truth and lies intertwined. At its heart stood the Mirror of Betrayal, an artifact forged in the age of the dragonkin. The mirror was said to reveal the faces of those who had wronged you, and those you had wronged in turn. Eadric of Blackmere approached the sanctum at twilight, the fading light casting long shadows across the forest floor. His journey had been long and arduous, guided by whispers of the mirror's power. He sought it not for revenge, but for answers. At the sanctum's entrance, a figure awaited him. It was Lady Morwenna of Brynmore, cloaked in crimson. Her expression was guarded, her presence unexpected. "You shouldn't be here, Eadric," she said, her voice tinged with concern. "The mirror is a dangerous thing." "I've faced danger before," Eadric replied, stepping closer. "This is something I must do." Morwenna hesitated. "The mirror does not simply show the past. It forces you to confront it. Not everyone can bear what they see." Eadric's gaze was steady. "Then it's time I found out if I can." The sanctum was a circular chamber carved into the earth, its walls lined with crumbling stone. At its center stood the mirror, a towering oval of polished obsidian framed by jagged silver. Its surface was dark, yet it seemed to pulse faintly, as though alive. As Eadric approached, the air grew colder. He could see his reflection, but it was not quite his own. The face in the mirror was younger, unscarred, yet its eyes were filled with fear. "You seek answers," the reflection said, its voice a hollow echo. "But are you prepared for the truth?" Eadric unsheathed vigilance and planted it in the ground before him. "I am." The mirror rippled and the reflection faded. In its place appeared a scene from Eadric's past, a battlefield shrouded in smoke and fire. He recognized it instantly, the Siege of Ravenspire, where he had once fought alongside Kael and Ysella. The image sharpened, revealing Kael, his armor dented, his sword bloodied. Eadric watched as his younger self appeared, shouting orders to retreat as the dragonkin bore down upon them. Kael's face twisted in anger. "You abandoned us!" Kael's voice rang out, his words sharp as daggers. "We could have held the line, but you fled." Eadric's heart clenched as he relived the moment. He had ordered the retreat to save the survivors, knowing it would cost Kael and Ysella their lives. At the time, it had seemed the only choice. The scene shifted, and now Ysella appeared, her face pale, her hands trembling as she tried to hold back the advancing beasts. Her voice was softer, filled with pain. "You left us, Eadric. Why?" Eadric's fists clenched, his nails biting into his palms. "I had no choice," he said aloud, his voice shaking. "If I hadn't ordered the retreat, we all would have died." The mirror shimmered, and the battlefield dissolved. In its place appeared Kael again, but this time his face was hollow, his eyes dark. He was no longer a man, but a shadow, a hollowed. "You didn't just leave us to die," the shadow hissed. "You left us to become this." Eadric stepped closer to the mirror, his reflection distorted and fractured. "I carry the weight of your loss every day," he said, his voice rising. "But I made that choice because I believed it was right. I still believe it." The shadow laughed, a cruel, empty sound. "Belief is not absolution. The question is not whether you believe you were right. The question is whether you can forgive yourself." Eadric froze, the words cutting deeper than any blade. He had spent years mourning Kael and Ysella, fighting in their memory, but he had never truly forgiven himself. "I don't know if I can," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. The shadow's form wavered, its edges softening. "Then you will never escape this mirror. You will be bound to it, as I am bound to you." Eadric took a deep breath, his hands steadying on the hilt of vigilance. "I cannot change what happened. I cannot undo the pain I caused. But I can carry it, not as a burden, but as a reminder to do better, to honor those I've lost." The mirror began to glow, its surface rippling like water. The shadow of Kael stepped forward, his expression no longer filled with anger, but sorrow. "You were my brother, Eadric," he said softly. "I wanted to stand beside you until the end, but you made a choice, and it was yours to make." Eadric nodded, tears streaming down his face. "I'm sorry, Kael. I'm so sorry." The shadow placed a hand on the mirror's surface, and Eadric mirrored the gesture. For a moment, their hands seemed to touch, and then the shadow dissolved into light. The mirror's surface darkened, its power spent. Eadric stepped back, his body trembling, his heart heavy but unburdened. He turned to see Morwenna standing at the edge of the chamber, her eyes filled with concern. "Did you find what you were looking for?" she asked. Eadric nodded. Not answers, but peace. As they left the sanctum, the forest seemed brighter, the air lighter. Eadric knew the journey ahead would still be fraught with danger, but for the first time in years, he felt the weight of his past lift, leaving room for something else. Hope. The Sanctum of Reflections grew silent once more, its cursed mirror dormant. But deep within its obsidian surface, the faint echoes of a slayer's choice lingered, a reminder that even in the face of betrayal, redemption is possible.